Okay. Assalamualaikum and hi to my lecturer and to my friends. We from this group of Seremban are going to present about our research methodology. I'm Ravda and we have Siti Zulaika, Muhammad Adam and Santia. These are all our team members. Okay, next I'm going to pass to the next presenter to talk about our introduction.
Okay. Hi. For introduction, the first one HCM. So what is HCM? Is human capital management. It's a strategy method used for successfully overseas engaging the employees of a company in order to accomplish its objective. HCM is also to focus a long-term development to training, performance management, and career goals. Also, learning a career investment and skilled worker. The next is what a research methodology. So research methodology is methodological strategy or improves the research used to carry out a study to generate plan methods and process. Uh, Beside that, it also to put the simple to design uh, the methodology and rationale to behind this select of particular research technical. For example, like study effectiveness of HCM to uh, practice and quantitative to collect measure data for employees uh, or like conduct interview. So that's about introduction. Thank you.
Okay,
So
madam, for the first journal, which is exploring human capital management practice, this research conduct was exploratory in nature, and it was a literature review relying entirely on a secondary data from high quality journal articles. This aim was to gather and analyze the existing research rather than to test specific hypothesis. This purpose of the research to examine and combine the existing knowledge of the human capital management, and also to identify the key of HCM practice such as requirement and selection, training and development, performance appraisal, and career management. It also to provide insight that can guide the organization in managing the human capital effectively, and also fill the research gap by clarifying the dimension and application of the HCM across the different organizational contexts. The relationship between the managers and the researchers are like indirect. The researcher did not collect the data directly from the managers, and the managers are like a subject and stakeholder discussed in the review literature, and it's also the researchers act as a science synthesize, drawing insight and the practically implication from the previous studies. The ethic consideration that I got from this research is like a participant consent was not like applicable since the primary data are not collected, and the researcher ensure the ethical academy practice, which is including the maintaining data integrity and accurate the representing prior finding, and avoid the plagiarism and giving a proper credit to the causes, and also it ensuring the transparency about the data source. And the study declare there are no conflict of the interest to uphold the research integrating, and however there are many lack of detail about the study selection, raising potential and concern about the selection, which is like in the bias or transparencies. The next slide. Okay. Research purpose problem defined, which is mainly focused on how HCM contribute to the organizational performance, and it also aimed to review the HCM literature and identify the main human capital management practice. It's like a review. There are numerous reputable journal articles. There are no detail on the database, keywords, or include or exclude criteria. It's mainly claimed as a scientific, but it's resemble as a narrative literature review. There are no theoretical framework, and there are no hypothesis development. The research design is like a qualitative design based on the literature review and interpretations, mainly focus on to identify the pattern and trend and the research gaps. The scope and limited of the research is cover various industry and countries, which is limitation on the relied on a secondary data and no detailed methodology provided, religion bias toward developing the country, and lack of the standardizing measurement of the human capital management construct. That's all from the journal one. I pass to next presenter.
Okay, so for my part is the number 2. These are the summary that I found in our journal. So the first one is actually the type of research. From my perspective in this journal, it's actually a descriptive research, meaning like there is no participant in here. We're going to talk about that later, but it's not a type of research where that we have human beings or anyone answering our questionnaires. It's just purposely everything that they're trying to do, or they collect their data all from either other journals from other researchers, or also from other books or something that is they can try to obtain. The next one is the purpose of research. There are a few that I found out. So the first actually to inspect the other studies, as I said before, because they are descriptive. They are trying to find or inspect other studies or other journals that is involving business and management. So they try to get other perspective or try to obtain everything else that they can find out about, especially not just the perspective of the studies, but also the perspective of the authors of those journals. So the second one is to share the author's perspective and on the future development. So when it means of future development, it's actually directly to what a business and management really are. There's a lot of things that's going on in the business and management sectors. A lot of things that is maybe like challenges and everything that is changing and how it work and how it perform in other sectors. So the author is trying to share their own perspective after researching for all of those other studies. This is their perspective, and they're trying to invite readers, which is going to the third one. So inviting readers to ruminate the topic. So the topic is business management. They try to basically just try to make people listen or try to make people read the journal, an article about how this is impacting our economy, our business, and our anywhere in other sectors. So some of the sectors I've said many times before is like just internal and external business, like pharmaceutical or food industry, the sectors, or others that is impacting well in business and management itself. So the next one is the relationship between managers and researchers. After a while of finding and reading this journal, I do not find anything that is mentioning directly of managers and researchers relationship, but there's no mentioning. And then we're going to the second point, which is readers. So the main point of this whole journal is to give readers their perspective. So it's more like the definition of the relationship that is in this journal is more to readers and researchers. So readers can be more than just anyone else, meaning like they can be in the business sector, they can also be in the management sector. It is not defined to who can read their journal. It's open to everyone, anyone who want like know more about this own management and business. So there is no mentioning, and it's purposely out for the readers. So the next one is the ethical consideration. So there is no ethical consideration directly to participants. As I've said before, there's a descriptive research, there is no participants, but there is also a way they're becoming more ethical with how they try to be more ethical when it comes to getting and perspective other people's studies. So the first one is the academic integrity, meaning like becoming more humane, more purposely like people to people, because this all are for academic. People are reading for this, and people are actually learning from it. So the next one, actually honest about the findings. They are very well, like so honest in how the findings are, meaning like if you go to the journal, the last 3 pages is all about where they find the findings, where they try to references any journal, any authors, any readings, or anywhere article that is involving how they maintain or how they create this journal. All of them are the findings. So meaning they're being very honest in how the findings are. So the last one of ethical is the culturally competence. Meaning like there's no sensitivity. It's just directly are for academic purpose to make people learn and know the future development that's happening in business and management. So we're going to the next one. Okay, so these are the business research process. Is all of the entire process. So the first one is, what is this researcher's problem? So the first, there's not entirely a big problem or big impact or issue. It's just that they want people to know knowledge about the topic, knowledge about how this works, how impactful it is towards the business, not towards the issue that is currently that is impacting politicals. It's just directly to the business and management, which is the journal title. So there's example of the knowledge that they can obtain is the challenges faced by all of these sector businesses. Like I said before, the food industry, pharmacy, all of these have challenges like technology. We have CS, which is customer service, HR, which is human resource, and then we have supply chain. These all are in sectors of management. So all of these are challenges that have been faced, but they don't really know about it. The next one is the process of information. So where do they try, or where do they have the studies paper? So they compile all of the studies paper that is related to their own business and management. So for example, they have like Kurt Lewis, Alfred Merrow, and then John French. All of these are well connected to business R, or any way in the sector or definition of what business and management really are. So the third one is the theory of framework. So there is not really definitive in how the theoretical framework really works, but there is a few that they really said before is a framework comprehensive. First one is action theory, in knowledge and in critical context, and in external, meaning the external internal context and how the business really are. The next one is the quality relationship, meaning the quality relationship not towards the not just directed to the readers, but actually the quality relationship that the author itself have, because we have 2 authors, the authors and also the editors is trying to edit this journal. They don't have the good connection with each other, so they're not managers, they're not readers, just author to author, and then editor to editor, and then also author to editor. So the next one is the action research, the process quality. So how quality is this action research? As I said before, this whole journal is about action research. Whether the process is quality enough for a quality for people to read, and also for the process of doing this journal. So the last one is the outcome. So outcome of the whole process and the outcome of the whole entire research, action research from this, and obtaining or like a good complete journal for people to read. So the next one is the hypothesis development. So the hypothesis development are like obscure, meaning like it's not definitive, it's just obscure, meaning like there's no directly saying that there is a hypothesis development. There is not directly, but even though we don't have a hypothesis development, we do have a research design. The research design is actually just one. It's not qualitative, it's just quantitative, and there is no mix. There's no participants, and the collection of data is also from the studies researchers. So what is the scope and limitation? So the scope and limitation, the first one is the research design, meaning like there's no participants, but there's also just quantitative. That is how they scope their own information. And then the second one is data procedures, meaning like they do it in the most honorable way to honor all these other authors. They try to make it as the scope is not really that big, it's just defined on that specific sector of business and management. So this fourth one is methodology shortcoming, meaning like the methodology, meaning this whole thing, our methodology, research methodology, shortcoming, meaning like there is no specifically boundaries. The boundaries is quite small here. That's how limited it is, because methodology have like research studies, there are participants or people answering questions, but there is no one answering this, no questions are ever made, it's just completely on the data. And the next one is supply accessibility, meaning like there is such a limit of supply of information they can try to get, because there are some authors that limit it completely, not everyone can read it, so they can't use it in their own journal. Oh, I said before, scope bounding. Scope bounding is something that is just this own scope bounding, meaning that it's quite limited and it's just not going anywhere. It is such in a small quantity, sample size or no sample size, that's how limited it is. So that's all for my business research process. I'm going to pass to the next presenter.
We will explain about journal summary 3, the role of human capital management in enhancing engagement and retention among top talent in organization. Sorry. Okay, for this journal, I will explain about summary 3, the role of human capital management in enhancing engagement and retention among top talent in organization. For this journal, the research conducted by Rashidi Hassan in 2016 is both exploratory and descriptive. Exploratory because it explores the different role and practice of human capital management of HCM in improving employee engagement and retention. It also descriptive because it explains in detail how practice like training, performance, appraisal, and reward system affect employee. So the study focus more on explaining what and how HCM work rather than why it happened. Next, for the purpose of the research, is to find out how human capital management help increase employee engagement and retention in organization. This study highlight the importance of training and development, fair performance review, good reward system, and a positive work environment. By focusing on this area, companies can build a stronger relationship with their employee and keep the best talent. Uh, this research uh, this research remind managers that employees are the company's biggest asset and investing in their growth and happiness bring long-term success. For relationship between research and manager. For in this study, researcher and manager work together. Researcher provide the theoretical idea and knowledge about human capital management, while manager apply this idea in the workplace. This teamwork makes sure the research is not just academic but also practical and useful for the organization. So both sides help each other to improve employee engagement and retention. Next is ethical consideration. For ethical, this study focus on honesty, fairness, and respect. Research make sure to cite all source properly and avoid plagiarism. Managers make sure employees' information is kept confidential and that participation is voluntary. By maintaining strong ethical standard, both researcher and manager build trust and ensure the researcher result and credible and reliable. Next slide. For the next slide is a research problem. The research problem was defined based on the growing concern of many organizations to retain and engage their best talent in today's competitive global market. Most companies understand that their employees are valuable assets. Many still face challenge in applying effective human capital management practice that can increase satisfaction and loyalty among workers. For this study, aim to explore how fair performance appraisal, continuous training, and reward system can help improve employee engagement and retention. For theoretical framework, this study is supported by two main theories. The first is the human capital theory, and next is the social exchange theory. Human capital theory views employees as assets whose skill and knowledge bring value to the organization. And other theory is social exchange theory, explain that when organizations treat employees fairly and provide development opportunity, employees respond with higher engagement, loyalty, and commitment. This theory shows how strategic HCM practice can strengthen employee retention and overall organizational success. For hypothesis development, this study did not test formal hypotheses. The author developed several assumptions based on past literature. They suggest that training, fair appraisal, and reward system positively affect employee engagement. And then engaged employees are more committed and less likely to leave the company. And this assumption help guide the study's analysis and interpretation. For research design, there are used qualitative approach that focus on reviewing and analyzing secondary data from previous studies. This design was useful for understanding patterns and insight from existing knowledge. Since no primary data on experiment were conducted, the research could not provide statistical evidence or direct cause and effect measurement. Next, I will pass the next presenter.
Okay, so for the critical view and the discussion of this whole entire three of this entire journal. So this is what I seen in the contrast of everything else. So for article number 1 and article number 3, they do have the same context, meaning they are in the HR or HRM department. They are directly on that specific human resource and human capital development, the whole entire subtopic. Okay, so for the next contrast, actually article number 2 and number 3 does not really have a hypothesis development. We did our presented our journal before. As you can see, we do not really have a hypothesis development process, but journal number 1 actually do have it. So these are the compare, something that is different for this 3 journal. So the article do not not in the same category, even though HRM and article number 1 and 3 do have the same context, but they do not have the same category. They're in the same context, not same context, but same subject. And then the next one is the article number 1 have no theoretical framework, as I said before, because we do have number 2 and 3 don't have a hypothesis, but number 1 also do not really have theoretical framework, while number 2 and 3 does have it. So that's all the critical review and the discussion on how contrast and compare really are. So I'm going to pass to the next one, which is the conclusion.
Okay. For conclusion, each of 3 articles to ensure in every investigation to show how to rigorous impose as well define research challenge and listicle of the combined, which means each study to demonstration how to clear research the problem to work together to product and finding that support the managing decision making. And also research management also we have to better to understand the entire the business study procedure for identify the problem like manager to provide to research the data to find it be applied to research business situation, employees to academic to workplace application. And last, about how research finding to analyze the journal article to research the problem and uh, the data collection and analysis to ethical reflection, not only for academic exercise but also the strategic tools to evidence on best management and continuous organization improvement. So that's about conclusion.
That's all for our presentation. Thank